On Topic is brought to you in part by the South Delta Leader.
Hello and welcome to the show On Topic. I'm your host, Adrian McNair, reporter with the South Delta Leader. And joining me today to talk about youth mental health is Joshi from Here and Now, and Isabella Thompson, also from Here and Now. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
So Here and Now is a relatively new organization focused on youth as defined as being 25 and under, and to help youth speak about mental health issues.
Yes, so our mandate is to educate and provide awareness and a platform for youth to express their own stories of dealing with mental health, mental illness, addictions, bullying, and sexuality in a safe and supportive way.
Right. And this is a topic I think that it hasn't been discussed all that often in either in the media or in public society. You know, people really haven't brought the issue of mental health and wellness out into the open. You know, kudos to you guys for stepping up and doing that, especially with young people.
Definitely. I think that's why mental illness goes untreated for so long, because there's such a stigma that surrounds it. A lot of people aren't very comfortable talking about it. They aren't comfortable telling their parents or close friends that I am depressed or I am anxious. And because of that, that's one of the many reasons why a lot of people struggle with it.
Right. This organization, Here and Now, it's relatively new. It was founded in October of 2013.
Yes, that's right.
And how did you become involved, for instance, in this organization?
So I already knew Isabella from another mental health organization known as Kelty Mental Health. It's in the Children's Hospital. And we'd been good friends, and she called me one day and said that I'm starting this organization. It's going to be called Here and Now. I'd really like your support. And I said, yeah, sure. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was going to be very official. I just thought it'd be just us kind of making speeches to whoever we could about mental illness. But we definitely, all of us, our entire team, worked really hard to get it where it is. And it's been really good so far, considering that we've just kind of started, and we already have a lot of things kind of lined up for us. So it's been really great.
That's great. And from your perspective, was that pretty much the same story, or how did you decide to become involved?
I started getting involved in mental health advocacy about a year and a bit ago through the Kelty Mental Health Resource Center at BC Children's. I decided to give back to the hospital. I'd used the Kelty Mental Health Center when I was struggling with mental health issues and mental illness. And when I found out through someone else that I'd been using the center with, one of my peers, that she was doing an ambassador program that they started, I decided to apply. And I really enjoyed, talking about mental health and being able to express myself and my own story, and started getting involved with other organizations. And when I knew more of what I wanted to see happen and what I was hearing my peers needing, then I decided, it's time to build something that youth want, and I think it's best to have it delivered by youth. So that's why the organization started, and why it's still going.
So Izzy, you live in Vancouver, and Terry, you live in North Delta?
Yes.
And so is this a Lower Mainland type of organization, or how far do you reach out to people?
At the moment, we've been focusing on the Lower Mainland just while we're growing, and while we're still constantly developing the idea of who we are and what we're doing. And because funding's such an issue, we can't really afford to go out and take it province-wide. But we do have youth that are connected with us throughout the province and even throughout the country. We've got delegates from the organization in Ontario. So it's becoming more of a popular organization. People are starting to know our name a little more now.
And you've had support from local politicians as well, MLAs, local municipal politicians.
Yes. So we have great support from Mr. Scott Hamilton, who's the MLA of Delta North.
Right.
He, as well as the mayor, Mayor Jackson, has provided us a lot of support. We went to them and we told them about this organization and about how we'd love to attend a conference that we're attending in a couple of days, actually. And they provided us really good support. They really helped us out. And I think that's been a really great help, just because they are people of authority, so they can definitely get the word out there. And we have had phone calls and emails from people that have said, I think it's really great that it's a youth-run organization. It's for the youth and it's by the youth. And I think that's what makes it really special.
And you're going to be heading to Ontario very shortly to go to a conference called Ignite and Unite?
Yeah, the Unite and Ignite conference. It's run by the Students' Commission of Canada and Youth Centres of Canada. So we leave in a couple of days to go and head out there, and we're going to be facilitating some workshops, and we're doing a couple of presentations from lived experience point of views on, youth issues, and basically just going to be spending a couple of days connecting with youth from across the country and, coming together and figuring out what we can do to face the issues that youth themselves have identified as being really important to them and needing to change. So.
Great. I'm going to ask you a little bit more about what you're going to be doing there. We just have to take a quick break. We're on topic with Here and Now, talking about mental health.
Okay, what happened to your passing? You gotta support the puck. Do I have to tell you this? And we're getting killed on the boards.
Hello.
This is your territory, Grimson. Do your job.
Grimson.
Hello? Hi, honey. What? Now? All right. The itsy bitsy spider climbed up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain. And the itsy bitsy spider climbed up the spout again.
I love you, Daddy.
I love you too, sweetheart.
Hey, it's my girl.
My daughter.
Love. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
On Topic is brought to you in part by the South Delta Leader.
And welcome back to On Topic. I'm speaking with Tara and Izzy about youth mental health issues, and you were just talking about how you were going to take part in a conference in Ontario soon. I was just curious. We could start with you, Tara. Why you explained why you became involved. I was wondering, what sort of things do you share with other youth, or what sort of things do you tell people about your own experiences?
Right. So I have been advocating for mental illnesses or mental health organizations since I was 14. And one of the many reasons which kind of made me want to start talking to youth was because I myself suffered from mental illness for a long, long time. And because no one really spoke about it in my community, it was considered something very bad. Mm-hmm. It was really difficult for me to kind of get help for it. I suffered from severe depression as well as severe anxiety disorder, and because it was untreated for so long, I dabbled with self-harming, as well as I used to get panic attacks. I was suicidal for a while, and that's when it really hit me that something needs to be done, because I knew that I wasn't the only one going through this. I knew there were many other people, and so I spoke to my school counselor and I said I want to start doing speeches, I want to start talking to people about this. And I was put down in the beginning because it's such a sensitive topic. So I called numerous mental health organizations even if they said no, I gave them my number, and a year later I got a call back saying, yeah, we'd really like you on board. And from there I just kind of started speaking to youth about my own personal mental illness so youth could relate to it. I also speak about how they can kind of empower themselves and make a difference by standing up and not being ashamed to speak about what they care.
And this is while you were a student at Sequim Secondary?
North Delta Secondary
North
School.
Delta Secondary, okay,
Yeah.
I got that wrong. When you say community difficult for people to accept in your community, are you talking about a South Asian community, or what type of community are you talking about?
Well, North Delta, there are a lot of South Asians in North Delta, especially the school which I attend, North Delta Secondary School. There are many people of South Asian origin, but it wasn't really that. It was more of the idea that if someone would self-harm themselves, people would call it words like emo, or they'd make fun of them. And so no one wants to expose themselves to something like that if they know they're going to get shot down immediately. And I had seen a lot of people bully other people, calling them words like crazy and psycho, and I kind of thought that if I stand up and say there's something, I'm not feeling well, people would do that to me as well. It's just a culture of this generation. I think that there's a lot of influence from social media as well as movies and all that kind of stuff. They kind of depict people who have mental illness really badly. So I was very terrified.
How did you know how to get help?
Well, things got a little bad for me. I attempted suicide, and because of that, I was taken to the hospital. But I was given a choice. I could stay in the hospital, I could come home, and I chose to come home for I just took time off from school, and that's when I started realizing that I need to start getting help. But for me, a really great coping skill is talking to other people about my own illness, because it makes me feel empowered and it makes me feel confident.
Especially other young people?
Yeah, of course, because a lot of people feel that they can't really talk to anyone about it. They feel that if you have a mental illness, you're stuck in this little hole for the rest of your life, and that's not the case. So I wanted to tell people that I've had it, I'm still recovering through it, but I'm able to stand up and make a difference, and I think that's what empowers other people as well.
I guess there's almost a belief in society that mental illness is on the fringes of society, that it doesn't really happen to younger people. There's maybe it's just my own upbringing and beliefs. You think it happens to older people, but that's not true, right?
No, it's all kind of because we all live in a generation now where a lot of things are accepted, like being homosexual, it's fine now. But at the time, because our parents and their parents were kind of taught that it's not good, as well as mental illness. You're crazy if you hallucinate or if you self-harm, you're crazy. So they kind of grew up with that, and I think that's what a lot of adults believe. And then the fact that I was born into a generation where I was told when I was very little by teachers that it's not good, and I think that's what kind of changed my attitude towards it. When I actually had it, I realized that I'm normal and I have it.
Right. Just for perspective's sake, when you say generation, you're 17, Izzy's 18, so you're right in that age group right there. Izzy, when she speaks about bullying, have you experienced any form of bullying due to your own experiences?
I actually have. One of the big factors in my own struggles with mental health and mental illness are because I was bullied when I was young. For years in school, I was bullied. I live with a congenital nystagmus, so my eyes move involuntarily. So that was a huge thing. And because I was different and people could see physically that I was different, that was very, very easily targeted by my peers, which led to ostracization from my own peer group. So I became depressed and anxious at quite a young age. leading into when I started growing up, I developed an eating disorder. I started self-harming. It does, get really bad really quickly, and the worse that your own struggles get, the easier it is for your peers to pick it out and for others to pick out what's going on, because it becomes more noticeable, and that becomes one more target on you. No matter if you have physical issues that you're dealing with that you've already been targeted for or not, as soon as there's that problem that you're facing, it's a huge bullseye on your back.
And have anti-bullying efforts inside of schools helped in recent years to avoid these types of problems?
I think so. The biggest problem, I think, with bullying in schools is that the schools often don't know it's actually happening. Everyone keeps it very quiet. Nobody wants to put themselves or their friends in a place where they could get in trouble, and nobody wants to be the snitch. So
Right, of course.
Everything gets very hushed up, and I actually had to switch schools to escape a lot of my bullies, and because I'd been having issues at my old school, and the fact that I was struggling with mental health and mental illness was causing more issues, and because I was being bullied, it all got so much worse. So I actually moved schools, and the school I'm at now has an absolute zero tolerance policy, and because it's such
That's
a
great.
small school, everybody knows everything. So, you can't hush anything up at
No,
all.
That's important. We just have to take one more quick break, but we're going to come right back and continue speaking with members of Here and Now, a youth advocacy organization speaking about mental health.
Wow. College already.
Yeah. We gotta go.
I love you.
I love you too, Daddy. And thanks for everything.
Gratitude. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
On Topic is brought to you in part by the South Delta Leader.
And welcome back to On Topic. I'm speaking with Tara and Izzy of Here and Now about youth mental health, and you were just speaking about your own struggles with having your peers sort of accept, dealing with these issues. I'm curious how your perception of the services and help that are available, whether the provincial government provides the type of resources that are necessary. We've certainly heard that mental health facilities have been closed or don't exist in certain parts of BC. What are your perspectives?
Well, because I volunteered with numerous mental health organizations, I do know that a lot of funds have been cut. $80,000 was cut from Mood Disorders Association. British Columbia Schizophrenia Society, they had some money cut from them. And the idea of these organizations is that they provide facilities to people who have mental illness for a very, very, very low cost, and it's quicker. It takes, for some people, a year to actually meet with a psychiatrist. Mood Disorder Association provides it in less than a month, and it's quick and it's fast, and it helps people who might not be able to afford these facilities, and a lot of funding has been cut from these organizations. A lot of mental health organizations, they don't even exist because all the money that they had was cut.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that your perception as well?
Yeah, the biggest thing with the provincial and even the federal government's healthcare system is that they've got really great intervention organizations and facilities. So the hospital is great for intervention. You can take someone there who's acutely ill or who's, in a suicidal headspace, and you can hold them for 72 hours on suicide watch. But a lot of the youth and even the adults, don't have that care beforehand, and they don't have the education, and they don't have anyone to approach to help them find those resources. And a big thing, I think, with that is that, they're not educated on it. They don't understand really what they're going through, and they don't understand that there actually is help, and it's not such a strange thing that they're going through. It's something that so many people struggle with. But the idea of going to hospital is absolutely terrifying. I mean, I've been there. I know how scary it is to be sitting in a merge for like 8 hours, waiting for a psychiatrist to come down and see you, and then you get taken up to some ward with a bunch of people you don't know. And all of a sudden your entire life's, taken away, and you're stuck inside pretty much a box. And a lot of people don't want that, especially because psychiatric wards have been so negatively portrayed in the media, in movies,
For sure they have,
newspapers,
yeah.
TV shows, whatever. So definitely the government needs to look at starting some more early intervention, starting some more education and awareness. And I think that'll really change how people look at mental health and mental illness, and how they look at getting help, and the resources that people go to get help.
I guess there's sort of a cycle as well. If you don't get help at a younger age, like at your age, if you try to hide the problem, you try to cope with the problem on your own, and then you do become an adult and you get older, and you don't have maybe the family and the support and your friends abandon you, and you become more and more isolated to the point where the condition could become worse because it's not being treated. You don't have people that are looking out for you anymore, like your parents or your friends. They've said, oh, we're not going to deal with that anymore. That's one of the risks, I would imagine.
Definitely. One of the main things about mental illness is that there's no cure for it. It's just something that people can kind of recover with, and people can learn to cope with. And a lot of people like to think that mental illness it's like getting the cold, or it's like getting the flu. You can take a couple of pills and you'll be fine in a couple of days. But that's not what it is. You have to live with it for the rest of your life. I mean, there was a time when I was very suicidal, and obviously I did try to kill myself, and that was because of depression. But I am still depressed, but I know the coping skills necessary for me not to do something like that, but I still have to go through it. And that's one of the many reasons why people think you can't get help. They say there's no need to get help, just take a couple of pills and you'll be fine, take some rest. But that's not what it is. It is education which helps these people kind of cope through and helps them find ways to recover. They have to be in an environment which is safe, and that's not what it is right now.
So Izzy, how many youth have come forward to join your organization or seek assistance or help or advice from you?
For us, for our organization, we have a board of 5 directors. We put our 5 most committed youth on the board when we were registering with the provincial registry for our nonprofit status. And we've got a team of, I think, anywhere between 10 and 15 youth on any given day who are, in the wings waiting to write blog posts, post on Facebook, Twitter accounts. They're waiting to go and do speaking engagements when we have them, which don't come along often enough because people are still a little iffy about having youth come in and speak about mental health. Just staying connected and waiting for events to happen and waiting for volunteer opportunities. So it's actually quite big. I was pretty surprised when I started, approaching people and asking them if they wanted to get involved and putting calls out on social media with how many responses we got and how much positive a response we had.
That's great. So if there are parents or younger people watching this right now, how can they reach out to you? How can they find you guys?
So we usually do a lot of correspondence by email. The email we can be reached at is administration@hereandnowbc.ca. And emails are responded to within 24 hours max. It's usually an hour or two, as we are in school. So during the school hours, our phones are off. And that's probably the best way to reach out to us. We've got a Twitter account, Here Now BC, and we've got a Facebook account. We're Here Now Youth Engagement Foundation on Facebook. So it's pretty easy to reach us, and we're always around and willing to talk.
That's great. Well, I hope that everybody who needs the help like that reaches out to you guys. And I just want to say you're really brave for doing this and coming on and telling people your story. And I think that you're very inspirational. So thank you so much for your time. We're just out of time, and I wish you all the best in Ontario and future endeavors.
Thank you, Adrian.
And thank all of you for joining me for another episode, and I'll see you again next week on Topic.
On Topic is brought to you in part by the South Delta Leader.